The last time I was in the same space as Richard Jeffrey Gray, I was looking down on him, and he was looking up at me, and he was conducting an orchestra, and I was on the stage. It's all right, it's all right. Richard, welcome.
And thanks very much.
Nice to see you again.
And you.
We were together for the anniversary of the Hippodrome, with that wonderful amateur show that was put on. It was just terrific.
That's right, a fabulous show. I remember you in your red uniform, looking grumpy, marvellous.
Playing Sandy Powell.
That was it.
I did enjoy that. I must admit, I really did enjoy that, with the wonderful Sheila Hannon as Mrs. Sandy Powell as well. But you had the full orchestra there. All professional musicians?
Oh, yes. They have to be, really.
Yeah, well, yeah. No, it's not always the case with...
No, it's not. I mean, there are superb amateurs. Thinking about it now, a lot of those, if you look at musicians anyway, they're going to teach anyway, which is a profession. But there's a lot of people there who just go around and all they do is play shows, which is a great discipline itself. There's a particular woman I know who's got 4 or 5 instruments, like a tool belt, and just pick up one, pick up a clarinet,
anyone that's
pick
necessary,
up a flute, pick up an oboe, and so on. And they're fabulously versatile people, really.
It always amazes me, certainly when I was doing some theatre stuff when I was younger, the saxophone players play flute.
That's it, yeah.
You think, oh, well, this is a different embouchure.
It's called, that's right, it's called doubling and tripling.
Very good.
A fellow called Tom Timms, who was a legend at the Hippodrome, who had a glass eye and take it out and polish it in front of the
bounce it off the timpani.
That's
right. We are here to talk the Clifton International Festival of Music. In what year are we in now? How long's it been running?
Second year of it. I mean, last year we started, really.
Was it your baby? Was it your brainchild?
Well, it was me and Tom Williams, who's the artistic director, and we were in a public house one day, and we thought...
As musicians have a wont to.
That's right. And the evening wore on, and we thought, why isn't there actually a festival in Clifton of high art music, accessible with decent ticket prices? We've got all the venues, lots of people do festivals, we can do something different, and just harness people really we know. The best of the locals, and last year we had a virtual choir with a track mixed in.
How does the virtual choir work?
Oh, virtual choir. Well, people get onto Skype. There is a conductor. They record their part. They send it back with their picture on Skype. And a very clever person from Wiltshire and Bath University stitches it all together. So they're all singing together from all over the world. So we had people from China, it was mixed in India, the piano player was in Australia, and then we showed it on a big screen.
That's terrific. The only thing is, with Skype, and I hear a lot of radio interviews being done in Skype these days, it always sounds like the person is inside the glove compartment of somebody's car.
Oh, yes, but you see, now if you've got 24 singers, there's 24 glove compartments.
It doesn't sound so bad. Well, the glove compartment singers.
That's practically a boot.
That's right. Or it's you're getting on for a lot more space, but you could say it's just a lot of glove compartments.
You just wind some of that out.
It needs really to be mixed, and the guy in India did a brilliant job.
But I love the idea that you could do something that is that worldwide.
Yeah, it's fabulous, and we played it in the cathedral, added the reverb, and sent it back. So they had a live audience for their virtual things they'd done in their bedroom, whatever.
Well, how terrific! The only downside to that is that the people in the audience, what did they see?
Oh, they saw 24. There's a video, actually.
Oh, I see. They got a big screen there, so you actually see the...
So you can see on YouTube, they're called Cantores Connexi.
Oh, right. I'll go looking for that. Cantores Connexi.
And they're singing the Seal Lullaby.
Okay.
It's just a fabulous... It's one of the ways you can use technology now to...
A lot of bands do it, don't they, now? They'll have their bass part recorded somewhere else and send it in, but I've never heard it done as a choir in an orchestra.
I just did a recording in Los Angeles, and it's very unfortunate because in the old days I'd have gone out there to do it, whereas now
of course.
I told him, put the microphones up there, do this, do that.
It's not so much fun, is it? Oh. Still, you didn't get that smog in
Mind
your
you, I
lungs.
went to LA last week, Long Ashton.
You said that the part of what you wanted to do when you put this together was to do something that was different. Now, that is obviously different. The venues, are those different, or are the performances the different things?
Well, one of the venues is a pub in Clifton, which is very nice. We're in the Lake Clarks from Bristol Cathedral, they're singing there. We're sort of using acoustics. There's a medium acoustic, which is very fine in All Saints Church, so we're using that for some of the 18th century stuff. Clifton Cathedral's a fairly huge acoustic. We got a violin recital there with Lark Ascending, Vaughan Williams, and a premiere of a violin sonata written actually in a tent at Gallipoli, and the fellow was killed. Wow. It's a premiere in the UK. The guy was killed the year after. We don't think he ever heard it. And he's Australian. They've heard it in Australia. This is the first time in the UK.
Do you know more about this man who wrote this in a tent at Gallipoli?
A little bit. His name's Fred Kelly, and he was Australian and killed at the moment. But the Australian High Commission are interested in...
Fred Kelly does sound an awful lot like another famous Australian.
That's right.
And his brother Ted.
That's right.
Well, that's extraordinary. So he would never have heard it.
Different stuff. Well, we don't think he did.
So presumably
there's not many pianos there.
The manuscript that he had penned then was sent home with his effects.
That's right.
Then, and that's how it was discovered. Or
that's right. And Ivor Gurney, who there's a BBC 4 documentary about the other week, made here, Gloucester poet musician. He was killed by the war. I mean, he really had post-traumatic stress and terrible mental problems after the First War. And there's his violin sonata there too. And it's sort of quite interesting because really the Lark Ascending was written quite early by Vaughan Williams. He used to drive ambulances in the First War. So you've got to...
He wrote some wonderful war music.
It makes you wonder,
wonderful.
doesn't it?
Yeah, my favourite composer, Vaughan Williams, bar none. Well, British. Actually, he's not my favourite, but...
Gary Barlow, is it?
No, not quite. But I love Vaughan Williams. Terrific. So, how long does it last, the whole festival?
Well, it starts next Friday, 6th of June, ends on the 14th with the headliners, the 16, if you've heard of that choir. They're all over the place. BBC 4, Radio 3, Classic FM, those kinds of places. And they're the headliners who end it on the Saturday.
Who's on the One Show this week? You mentioned somebody's on the One Show.
That's the Erebus Ensemble. The artistic director for us conducts that, and that's a jazz fusion with Andy Williamson, who did the Jazz Festival in Bristol. And Erebus are actually singing the theme to the One Show on Wednesday.
Oh, are they?
And almost all of them are from Bristol. They're Bristol graduates. They're really starting to make it. And they won a choir competition, international choir competition for the UK. They were second to a Spanish group a couple of weeks ago. And most of them, as I say, are from Bristol. They tend to go to London, of course, to make their living, but they're all based here. They're singing the wafting sort of church music, Allegro Miserere, that kind of thing. But we're putting that together and fusing it with some rather cool jazz.
Really?
And some of the more sort of violent Renaissance pieces, we're having a go at fusing that with sort of violent sort of jazz.
You just want to upset people, don't you, really?
That's right. We want to provoke people into getting out the door and coming to hear stuff they may not have thought of hearing before.
Yeah.
And making it... there's a lot of talk about accessible, but I think you've got to think this music is for everybody.
Yeah.
If you want to have a go at it. And some of it you might have to work a bit out. Some of it you might have to know roughly what they're singing about. I mean, I wouldn't dream of going to an opera and having people scream at me for hours on end without knowing.
Without the surtitles.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah.
Without knowing what's going on. So, sometimes you have to do a bit of work, but a lot of the time you don't. You can just sit there and actually enjoy what people do to a high level and celebrate it.
Well, thankfully we do live in a time where, whilst the opportunities to do something different in the pop world may be shrinking, but our appreciation of music, I think, is expanding. I think what we are prepared to listen to has changed because I suppose it's almost starting with the three tenors.
Yeah.
Classical music was opened up to a much wider audience, I think.
Well, that's right. I think it's sort of more visible, isn't it? I mean, it's more that people can share in it if they want. And the performances, I think, now have changed a little bit to make them more interesting. I mean, some of the things they play from the 17th century look like walking sticks. They make a different sound, and they're really difficult to play.
I have seen an orchestra play historical instruments, and it's visually it's fascinating, but also orally listening to it, it's a different sound.
Yeah, well, it's a different world, it's different tuning, it's different, everything was different, and they try to get close to that as they can. And you really are sort of immersed in something that you won't get out of your headphones. You're actually having to sit down, if you like, and listen to it, which is a big difference from the sort of disposable stuff that happens a lot of the time. But, you know, you can still not like it. don't mind not liking it.
Yeah.
But
at least you've had a go at something completely different.
Yeah. But there are workshops as well going on then.
That's right, yeah. I mean, there's some free lectures we're doing. I'm doing one on acoustics and telling people why certain things happen and the frequency at which you can blow chickens' heads off and things like that.
Yeah.
And we've got a workshop in memory of John Taverner, who we've invited Lady Taverner, we'll see if she comes, who died last year. He's a big classical composer. That's actually a workshop, so people can actually come and sing things that you wouldn't sing in a choral society, with people from both cathedrals coming in and helping them out.
What's your website?
cliftonfestival.com.
Perfect. We can all go and have a look at that.
That's great.
And choose the things that we're going to go and see and the things we're going to take part in. Thank you for coming in. We're going to play some music.
Yeah.
What is this that we're going to hear?
2 organs. It's from last year. It's just a little snippet of 2 organs. There's electronic and a pipe organ. Electronic's on the left if you're listening in stereophonic sound. And
you can hear them cross over at one point, can't you?
That's right.
As one goes into the tunnel and the other one goes...
That's right. But no, it was a laugh. And again, it's a guy from Bristol, really talented guy. Was at Bristol Cathedral, ended up St Paul's Cathedral. Fantastic talent around here. So we're celebrating.
Lovely to see you again. Richard, thank you very much indeed for coming in.